What's up, everybody? This is Newton Mayenge. Welcome to the league. Today's conversation is about following your dreams, and our next guest knows all too well about that. He is an award-winning filmmaker whose work has been featured in Jellyfest, Hollywood Screening Film Festival, and Indie Short Fest, just to name a few. Without further ado, I'd love to welcome filmmaker and our great friend, Michael Yosef. Hey, Michael, welcome to the league. How are you, brother?
Good to be here, Newton. Pleasure seeing you. It's been a long time.
It has been a long time. How's it in Vegas?
It's good. We're trucking along with this heat, but we make it. We take it with a grain of salt out here, but I have nothing to complain about. So all is well.
Man, it's crazy. I understand that, man. I know out here in LA, it's been like 108 to 111 degrees between the last 2 days. So I can only imagine because, we're going to cool down. But you guys over there, man, you consistently deal with that kind of weather.
It is what it is, man. It can be draining, but, you power through it. You take your energy drinks, your coffees, and, you make it through your day somehow. And it's all good. Like I said, I'm grateful for everything. I have no reason to complain. And, we're just getting by this year. The best way we can.
Absolutely, brother. Well, thank you for coming on the show. I wanted to have a topic with you involving following your dreams and have this discussion. And I know it's a topic that a lot of people can relate to. And right. I know following your dreams is a very interesting topic because sometimes people don't understand what those dreams look like. And, some people are not as fortunate to be able to pinpoint them at a younger age, and some people are. I know for me, following my dreams growing up was playing basketball. So I did everything in regards to basketball, be it doing well in school, making sure that, I got straight A's or close to it. It was all centered around playing basketball. So that was my dream initially. What was your process as a filmmaker in getting to that point and then actually implementing following your dreams in regards to
that? Super solid question and very well put and well thought out. And thank you for sharing with me how yours began. See, for me, it was a little bit different because for me, more or less, it was always filmmaking. So I didn't start anywhere else. I didn't have another dream in mind. It was always filmmaking. It was just a matter of understanding where in that spectrum, because it's a huge spectrum. That can be editor, that can be actor, that can be, anything. So it was trying to find out what was me in that bubble of film, because as a kid, all I knew is when I looked at movies, I resonated with them and I loved them. They were my best friend. I spent a lot of time in hospital as a kid, more or less due to stomach issues. It's okay. Some were severe, but, I'm here and I eat fine. I'm a healthy man, so I have no reason to complain. But, I've been through my fair share of health issues. And in my time in hospital, it was more or less films that kept me going and gave me a positive outlook of what was outside of the hospital room. And, as a kid, you don't really understand the world at all, even when you are out there. So films were very much a guiding tool for me. And taught me a lot, even though everything, of course, in filmmaking more or less is still movie magic and dramatized and all that stuff. You still have a lot of things still based in realism and themes that happen in the real world and what happened to everyday people. So I learned a lot about people through filmmaking, and more or less how I found my dream was, I started acting, or I started aspiring to be an actor, I guess, when I was very young. When I was very, very young. And then, I realized I kind of did have a natural knack for acting. Still to this day, and I'll still act in friends' films. A good friend of mine, I'll name drop. His name is Hunter Hopewell. He's making his first independent feature-length film. It's called Shellfish. Nice. So I was recently casted in that, and it's currently in the editing phase, and I'm looking forward to seeing it. But basically, I still act, but I don't pursue it. You know that about me, but I guess your viewers don't. But I never really pursued it as a career, and I still don't. It's still just one of those things that I know I have a natural ability with, and I had a good teacher in college, Clarence Gilliard, and we can talk more about him later because I'm considering him for a role in our film that we're working
Yeah.
on. But he taught me a lot about being vulnerable in front of the screen, but more or less being vulnerable in front of others. And that's really the key for acting. So once I studied acting more and more and more, I realized, well, what is it about acting that I like? And that's when I got kind of deeper into the storytelling part of things, where like, you know, the thing about acting that I like is that you decipher the text, right? You find the text and you decipher what it is about the character that's making those decisions based on whatever the screenwriter had put on the page.
Yes.
So that's when screenwriting kind of became of interest to me. And I was like, well, I want to write and I want to create the story and I want to create the world for the actor to figure it out and give the actor the tools to, you know, create his own depiction of whatever the character might be feeling and whatnot. That was more so my interest over time. So now, you know, catching up to where I'm at now, I've been a writer, director, and then producer by default. Not my passion to produce, but yeah, you know, we manage. But writer, director, producer. My dream is to write and direct for a living.
Yeah.
And I've written and directed 2 short films. The most recent one, Amuna, has won a couple things and has done pretty well out in LA. It won Best Comedy Short at the Los Angeles International Film Festival at a subcategory called Indie Short Fest. So it did really well. It did a screening pre-corona. It's had a lot of screenings. That little film has done a really good job and has. That was the one that really made me realize, oh, I can. So I always wanted to do it. Then I made Amuna. Then Amuna proved to me I can do it for a living. And then that's when I was like, okay, I can do this. And then that's when my confidence came in. And that's what I guess catapulted me into really deciding, okay, I want to write and direct. But directing for me, I think, is what makes me the most excited. I love writing. Like I told you, I also have that natural acting ability. But I think directing is what gives me the most, I don't know, that excitement. I'm sure you feel it when you act. It's just this like beating heart that just doesn't stop going. It's like, wow, it's like I'm in it right now. I'm assuming it's a lot like how a jazz musician plays his instrument or how a painter starts feeling when he's painting on his canvas. It's just it's the place that I really feel my most, you know, that's where I'm releasing my artistic outlet is when I'm directing. I think that's where I have my most passion. But yeah, writing, directing for the most part, and I guess to answer your question, a bit of acting as well.
Well, so once you were able to kind of pinpoint that, and you've kind of been going through that the entire time, I know for me, obstacles have been, you know, in the mix rather throughout that journey. So going back playing basketball, my father didn't necessarily agree with it because he was so academic minded. School. Right. He was an athlete himself. He played soccer and he played basketball overseas back in the Congo. And he was so sold on academics. So he wasn't very supportive when I went and played ball overseas and then transitioning after I stopped playing ball when my career was over, going and becoming an actor. He wasn't that supportive because it wasn't tangible. It wasn't you couldn't say, okay, if you go to this acting school, then that translates to you getting this.
Your dad is your protector. He doesn't want you. Yeah, you know, he's putting that shield. You know, he doesn't want his boy to run into the jungle and not be able to protect himself. You know? So filmmaking and acting is definitely one of those places where it's like you don't want to go there, especially when you're a father who's protective. So, you know, you have to respect that more or less, right?
Absolutely. Can you tell me about any obstacles that you may have or have been encountering throughout the course?
Plenty, countless. Yeah, I'm sure I could spit out plenty of examples. I guess to start, if we're relating to each other, you know,
COVID.
COVID. We can write a book about the obstacles that came out of COVID. So yeah, definitely COVID. But to relate to you, you know, yes, I have. I'm sure everyone in the arts has that in common, or I'd say about 90% 50% or more. The whole, like, their parents didn't agree with it. How are you going to make a living? What are you doing with your life? You know, do you know that it's one in a trillion succeed? All these statistics and nonsense, when they don't realize it's just what we want to do. Like, it has nothing to do with the statistic. It has nothing to do with whether or not it's going to bring us some currency. It's what we enjoy doing with our life. It's that simple. And I think that there's nothing rational about it. And I think that's something that parents will never understand because they're your rational backbone, your parents.
Yeah.
You know, they're the ones that are supposed to straighten you up and go, well, that's not rational. You need to understand that there's a real world, and you need to wake up and smell the coffee and get to work. And look, all those things are true. There's nothing untrue about it, which is why you have to respect your parents nonetheless, because what they're doing is protecting you. They're not lying to you. That's the truth of the industry. It's like that. You're not going to make money a lot of the time. You're not going to enjoy what you're doing a lot of the time. It's not going to feel like you're succeeding a lot of the time. But the little times that it feels that way, it's going to be worth it. And you're going to feel like you did it for you, not that you did it for your parents, not that you did it for your sister, your brother, your cousin, your friends, anybody, your mentors. It's not about that. You did it for you. You enjoy that you took those actions and you made those risks for yourself. And then you don't have to look back on your life and go, wow, I wish I did that. Because you did do it, you know, even if you didn't succeed. Also, the measure of success nowadays is nonsense. You know, who's to say that making money is a measure of success anymore? So in my eyes, if you're doing it, you're succeeding. So you need to, you know, people need to feel the same way. If they're doing it, if they're actively trying and they're actively putting their heart into their dreams, they're just going to wake up more happy in the morning. And at the end of the day, that's really the simple part. That's the simplest way to look at it. It doesn't matter if it's filmmaking or not filmmaking. You want to be a doctor, anything. Don't let anybody around you tell you that's not the right thing to do out of rationality, because they don't know how you feel. They don't know that when you wake up the next day and you didn't decide to do that yesterday, you wake up sad. And you're like, why don't I have any more backbone? Why don't I have any more pride or strength or integrity in how I feel and how I want to do what I want to do with my life? So, you know, that's how I feel about it. We're at a stage, you know, you mentioned COVID, where making films is nearly impossible. It was already very hard as an independent filmmaker to make a movie. There's already enough, in my opinion, there were enough obstacles. I didn't need more. They're already hard. So now COVID came and it made everything harder. You got to figure out a way to match regulations, even though you're independent and you don't have a studio backing and you don't have money. So it's not easy, you know, to do all these things and prove to a 20-person crew that are relatively strangers or friends of friends that you can do it, and that it's that you're responsible for them and that you can keep them safe while you're making your movie. And it's not that simple. And I can't judge anyone for questioning that. You know, and I've ran into that problem too. You know, I don't want to be specific, but we've been through a fair share of people doubting if I can get this project together and doubting wanting to stay on board. And I can't judge anyone for that, because who am I? I'm one guy at an independent level that makes movies out of his spare change, and I make movies for cheap. And I'm able to turn them into productions that look like, you know, studio made stuff. And, you know, that's not luck. That's not luck. That was trial and error. That was work. That was figuring things out, figuring out tricks that work, and finding my people, you know, finding my Joel Martinez, my DP, who's incredible and one of my best friends, finding my people like you and Whitney. It takes time. It takes effort, and I've done a lot of it by myself, and there's been a lot of obstacles.
Yeah,
but I think we're going to overcome COVID. Having said all that.
And that's such a great sentiment. And I totally agree. We will overcome COVID. If anything, my hopes is for everyone to come out with a better understanding of life, self-worth, family, and literally following your dreams.
This is the hardest time ever to prove to yourself that you can keep going at your dreams. And if you overcome this year, continuing, you're just going to be all that more strong next year.
Absolutely.
You just find a way to keep going. I'm out here in Las Vegas right now. It's not simple. I was living in LA before this. We were halfway through our production, you know, Dark Tales. I'm sure we're going to talk about it on here, but it's one of those things where halfway through production, COVID came, and like a truck stopped everything, and there was nothing anyone could do. So now that slowly, we finally have that will again, that free will again to decide, am I going to continue or not? I hope I can just share the message to yes, continue. There's no reason not to, unless circumstances tell you no, it's impossible, which can happen. It has happened. Continue, continue. And in time, all these things will make sense.
And that's such an uplifting sentiment. Dark Tales, you just brought it up, is a film that I think it's a phenomenal concept. And we started shooting it. I was very grateful to come in, get cast after my fiance, Whitney, once you casted her, Whitney Bowers. And
yes.
You gave me an opopportunity to
Whitney doesn't know the story, to be honest, if you want to hear that story. It's a quick one, but it's a funny one. So that was my first time ever. I'm sure Whitney's listening, but it's my first time ever, posting on one of those Hollywood casting. Honestly, I don't remember which one it was, if you want me to be honest, but one of those like Hollywood casting kind of sites, and first time ever. And I was very nervous because you've read the Dark Tales script. It's not for the faint of heart. And I didn't want, my first one to throw to a bunch of actors in the ocean of LA to be one where the whole ocean would judge me and say, screw this guy. And like 9 people, I think, signed up for that audition, and 3 showed up.
Oh, wow.
I was sitting there for 2 hours. Most of that, 99% of that time, I was sitting there alone. And I was like, man, I really hope the right person walks in. I just kept praying. And I was getting a little sad. And I was like texting my brother, and I was like, man, I'm feeling a little defeated right now. 2 guys had rocked in for, I think, your role, and ended up being your role. And nothing against them. It just didn't click yet. And I was like, damn, I wish I had more to work with, because 2 is not fair. I don't want to pick out of 2, And then Whitney walks in, and I think she slayed her audition. And to this day, I think I can't imagine, even if I could choose like an A-lister, I can't even imagine them as the role. I think she embodies that character really, really well, especially now that I've seen her on set. But, she mentioned you when I asked her, like, because I pretty much casted her on the spot, and I go, is there anyone for the leading man, the role of husband? And she goes, well, I'm actually engaged. And I go, all right, let's audition him, and then of course I met you, and we met very funnily at Century City and just had a read there. And it was a good time. And I had a strong feeling that because I was casting a real relationship, people who are actually in a relationship, that we would have a lot more freedom with the very carnal, sexually intense themes of the film, where it was very much a relationship that had this, like, I don't know, like a carnal, primal underbelly. Yes. And I was like, what better cast than to cast an actual couple for that? So I thought that was a no-brainer. But the fact that it's actually worked was a good gamble. I did a good gamble there, because, I could have kept looking, and I could have, I didn't really look after I met you. I was like, what, we'll try to make it work. They're a real couple. They're talented. Let's try, So I'm glad I did. It was a gamble, but I think it worked out. But that's the story behind how I casted Whitney.
Wow. I had no idea. And that shows your persistence in wanting to get the right folks, but also from a standpoint of having faith and, okay, let's see how this works. And
you're also crunched on time,
by the way.
Sorry. What did you say?
I said I had no problem with all the takes, by the way.
I'm not going to apologize. It
was written amazingly. So
I'm not going to apologize. You have to get it right. You got to get those. That's another thing, though. Takes for me. Think about the best filmmakers in the world ever. Kubrick, Fincher. Those guys are doing 40 takes at a time sometimes. Has nothing to do with the amount of tries. The reason they're doing it is because they're perfectionists, and they know once they have it, they got it. So, I don't look at it like, oh, if we did 40 takes, that means there was 39 mistakes. No, that's not true at all. You're giving the actor that room to, and I know how it feels as an actor. The first 4 takes, inside you don't feel that comfortable because you're still kind of in the space and you're still learning, the decisions you're making. So only really by take 5 or 6 do you really see the actor feel comfortable. I'm not saying that you don't get the performance. You might have gotten in take 1, but the actor, the person behind the character, his comfort or her comfort is visible by like take 5 or 6.
Absolutely.
So, for me, it's not one of those things I judge very harshly, the fact that I would need multiple takes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we're now getting an opportunity to finish it, because I know COVID put a stop to film. But now we're getting an opportunity to come back and continue and finalize the last portion of it. And
please, God willing.
Yes. And we've been going back and forth with that whole process, and we're excited. I think we're locked in more than ever. I think we're all locked in more than ever because of COVID and not having the opportunity to finish it. So we're excited.
I have not enough kind words to say about how on board you and Whitney have been from the beginning. I know that I'm sure that has a lot to do with the fact that you actually like the project, that you actually, that you guys get to work together, which is, I'm sure you guys feel a huge blessing out of that. But it's a big honor to me as well. You guys have put a lot of faith in me and a lot of your time in me. You guys are working actors. You didn't have to do that. So I take that as a huge compliment. And, again, not enough kind words. You guys have been a huge part of why this project is still alive. You're the leads. If either one of you said no, we would be done. So it's definitely been amazing to have you guys still on board.
Thank you, Michael, and I appreciate you've allowed us to be able to have creative freedoms as well and have our input in throughout the process.
That's my favorite part.
Really favorite part.
Yeah, that's why I direct actors. I really enjoy. I pulled you aside many times. I don't have to tell you. I'm trying to find a way to tell you. I'm talking to you as if you don't know, but I can pull an actor aside and really get into it, and we can really figure out what is it we're saying here. And the rest of the crew are saying we gotta go. We're crunched on time. We were really crunched on time on our set because we had the time of day about to arrive at 3 to 5 in the morning. The sun starts to rise. And we needed it to be night scenes. So we were crunched on time, but I knew what was important. And a lot of the time what's important is pulling an actor or actress aside and saying, what is it we're saying? Let's figure it out together. And even if it's not together, let me give you the confidence to figure it out yourself. So that when we roll the camera, you're there, we're locked in. So that's my favorite part. That's why I love directing. Directing actors is by far the best part of directing, by a lot. In my opinion, for me.
And you're able to provide direction that's very sound, and I was very excited just to have those different tips that you were giving me, and it was just an enjoyable time. So we're ready. We're ready.
Hard work, but enjoyable for sure.
Yeah, and it was cold, but it was cold. We sucked it up.
I felt so bad for Whitney at some point, but we needed to get it. There's an empathy you have as a filmmaker, but it's also like being a boss of a company. You have to like put your foot down sometimes and go, I know I'm so empathetic that you're cold, but we need this. Like and it's a hard balance sometimes because like the real me inside wants to put her in a car, put a blanket over her and turn on the heat, but the filmmaker's going, one more take, can we try again? I know you're cold, but one more try.
No, but we were definitely on board, and we're excited to get back to it. I did want to ask you, is there a tip there or any kind of advice that you could give someone who wants to, pursue their dreams in any form or fashion? Just anything that you'd be willing to share.
I've answered this a few times, if you want me to be honest. I've been on a few interviews, even typed answered this question before. And I feel like each time I answer it differently because I age a bit as I get asked this question.
Yeah.
I think right now, to answer that right now, it's get really good at like talking to that voice in your head. Mm-hmm. Get really good at controlling that guy or that girl.
Yeah.
That voice is really good at manipulating you. and telling you you're not good enough, or telling you to sleep in, or telling you to give up, or telling you to take that 9 to 5, it's easier. That's the voice that that you have to really learn to either ignore or learn how to shift the words yourself, how you control that voice and you can manipulate that voice. That's where the real power comes in. So if that starts to say something, you could go, you know, just with a little perspective shift, that voice starts saying other things. You know, that voice starts saying, wow, you're killing it. Holy crap, look at how much you've done. Oh my God, we're already almost in November and soon we're going to shoot again. Yes. Oh my God, you're helping your family business. Kudos to you. You know, you've done a lot for them during this Corona time, and you should feel proud of yourself. You know, these are the words you want to make that voice say to you. Because I'll tell you, more so than not, that voice is going to tell you to stop.
Yeah.
Because that voice, just like your parents, cares about you. But I think that voice, because it also comes with those fears, is much more negative and strong. And because it's coming from you, you believe it even more than when you hear it from like a colleague or a parent. You know, if you heard it from a colleague, you think they're jealous, right? And you're like, forget about it. But because it's coming from you, you're going, wait, is there some validity in this?
And it even comes, your inner strength to combat that. I know for me, I'm always, when I hear that voice, I'm always saying, you know what? No, I have to start what I finish. I've got to start what I finish, because otherwise I feel like, I mean, I'm gonna be honest, I feel like a failure to some extent that I didn't complete it. For you, what do you think gives you strength to continue on?
That's what you just described to me is your integrity, and that comes with like fine tuning. That's not, you don't just wake up one morning with integrity. You have to teach yourself to have integrity in the things you believe in, or the things that you feel. Again, this is kind of coming full circle, which is kind of like how this conversation is going, because coming full circle, like we were talking about earlier, how, you know, our passions, they come with obstacles and how you have to overcome them. This is how you do it. You know, you build up an integrity on the things you know you love. And to find out the things you know you love, you got to do it. You know, you can hype, you know, that's the difference between theory and practicality. You know, I that's why I liked film school, at least a tad. You know, I didn't go crazy with film school, but I respected the fact that in film school, you have to make a movie. You can't just do a test on how you make a movie and study the book. You got to go and make a movie, or else you don't pass the class. So I like practical learning, and in life, that's how you learn. Like there's no theory. You know, once you've studied enough theory, you go and you do it. So once you do it and you find out what it is you actually love, you have to build an integrity, and you have to tell yourself, regardless of what anyone's going to tell me, and regardless of what I even might be telling myself some days, I'm going to stay strong, and I'm going to believe in what I know. And, you know, that's also going back to what, you know, the difference between, you know, following your heart. You know, the term following your heart. You know, what's following your heart? Following your heart is following your know. You know, what you know. I know that I love making movies. That's just an example. I don't know what anybody else's dream. I know I love alcohol. Some people love alcohol. They want to make the next best whiskey in the world. Who am I to tell them that's wrong? That's what they love. You know, of course, don't binge, but you know what I'm getting at. If that's your passion, is to make the next best whiskey in the world, who am I to tell you, as some schmuck that doesn't even know the difference between a whiskey and a bourbon, that's the wrong thing to do with your life. So don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Of course, keep things as healthy and positive as possible, but you know, it's very easy to say, hard to do. I say this to myself. What I'm saying on here, I'm trying to just practice what I preach. It's not simple. Every day is different. Some days I'm just not having it. Some days I don't want to talk to anyone, but it's okay. You know, the next day you get up and you go, you know what, I was in a funk yesterday. I'm not going to let today be the case. And
Yeah.
again, it's just trial and error. And I don't think it ever goes away. It seems to be that it seems to be a game you play in life forever. This like the control of your subconscious and what it's telling you. You know, it's like this tightrope act you're playing forever. So I'd say my best advice is, you know, get good at that. Get good at that tightrope game, because the better you are at that, you're just going to excel at anything you do. It doesn't matter what you want to do. You can change your dream tomorrow.
Yeah.
You can change your mind tomorrow and go, you know what, that actually isn't what I wanted to do, because you're so in tune with yourself that you can go, you know what, that's not what I want to do, but you know what I want to do now? I want to do this. I want to fly an airplane. And you'll be able to, because you have that motivation and that integrity.
And that's honoring yourself and your feelings. I mean, that's pretty much what that is. And when you can, and that goes into the whole realm of stay in the path of following your dreams. That's you know, I try to reiterate that as much as possible, because
for sure
that is.
Whatever it may be. You know, I don't want people listening to this go, you know, does my dream have to be the dream I had when I was a kid? No, you know, mine was, and mine still is. Yes. That doesn't feel like I chose that. That feels like that's what I still want to do. That's what it feels like to me, in my perspective. But I know my dad is a good example of someone who had many dreams. And once it was to be an incredible realtor, and then once it was to be an incredible entrepreneur, and it changed as he grew older. And I don't know if mine are going to change or shift or whatever, but I'm going to honor whatever it is my heart is telling me to do. And as of right now, my core passions still lie in filmmaking, but I do a lot with my life and with my time. I have found some passion in running, helping run my family business, something that I didn't necessarily have a passion for when I was younger, something that I didn't necessarily appreciate fully when I was younger. You know, this year has been a big part of, you know, me growing and me learning other things I love to do with my life and my time. So there's nothing wrong with analyzing what you feel and really finding what it is you want. There's nothing wrong with that either. And if you feel a little confused, that's okay too, because that's part of it. That's your confusion is the messy part, right? It's like you've thought about it, then it gets a little bit messy, then you figure it out. And then you're almost, if it's feeling confusing, know that you're close to figuring it out.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So don't be afraid to be confused about it is all. You know, go ahead, go after your self-analysis, and you know, find your dreams and go after them.
I totally agree, brother. I couldn't have said it better myself. You know, and you know, we're on the same page, and that's why I'm glad that we got this opportunity to talk about this, and just to understand that we're going to be all right. You know, and I'm excited about November. That's when we're going to see Dark Tales. For those of you who are listening here, we're going to continue to finish our film with Whitney Bowers, the amazing filmmaker, Michael Yosef, myself.
Thank you.
Michael,
I'm very excited.
Before we get off the show, we want to make sure that people know where to follow you. Where can they continue to, you know, watch your films or just follow everything you have going on in this world of filmmaking? Sure,
I'll touch on a couple things. I'll touch a little bit on Dark Tales, and then I'll share, you know, where you can find me. It's really easy. But Dark Tales, for the most part, just to give everyone an understanding, it's a horror comedy. I've been a writer-director of comedy films for the most part, but I do blend genres, and this is my first time going after a horror as well. So it's been a really exciting journey. It's been a really dark side to myself and my writing, which is really exciting. It's fun. Once you actually get to the point of filming that side to you, it's a lot of fun. So I've had a blast. COVID did put a pause on things, but God willing, I'm continuing to shoot out in Las Vegas. I'm trying to keep it as safe as possible, follow all the regulations. Obviously, on an independent level, I'm going to do my very best to do all those things. And we are shooting for restaurant location to get locked down. once that's locked down, it looks like we're resuming production either early or mid-November. I'm really excited to share this with you guys. I'm sure once it's all completed, it's going to reach some type of festival circuit, so we can maybe reconvene on your show and talk about that when that time comes. In terms of, yeah, definitely, we probably should. And then in terms of how to find me, my full name is all you need to know. Michael Yosef, spelled Yosef. My website, michaelyosef.com, will always be the safest place to go. You'll have all my films there, all my press interviews there, including this one will probably be posted on there once it's live and available. So pretty much anything related to my art will be on my website. I do have an Instagram, Michael Yosef Productions, and I do have a Facebook under, I believe, the same name more or less, either Michael Yosef Production or Productions. But like I said, the best place is, go on my website, see some of my work, and then you can follow me on either Instagram or Facebook.
That sounds good, Michael. Thank you so much for your time. Very excited to have had this conversation with you, and I'm glad you and the family are safe. And we're excited to see you in November, bro.
Likewise to you. I'm, we're friends as well as work colleagues, and I really appreciate talking to you and you taking the time to give me this platform and to inspire others. Because for me, this is why I do it, and these kinds of things are priceless. And I really appreciate you having me. Thank you.
Michael, appreciate that. The pleasure was all mine. Everyone, ladies and gentlemen, this is Michael Yosef, filmmaker extraordinaire. This is Newton Mayenge, the lead talk show. Everyone stay safe. Take care of yourselves, you and your families. Talk soon.